Hi guys, my name is X and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you my top 5 favourite villains. In celebration of October and our spooky month, I wanted to talk to you guys about my top 5 favourite villains. Now, there are some amazing villains in books, and today I wanted to talk to you about some of my favourites because I think villains in stories are really, really important. They obviously help push the plot along, and I definitely think that there's some good ones out there that we need to discuss. October is spooky and I feel like it's a time to celebrate our villains, and I'm definitely going to be doing that today. So starting with number 5 on my top 5 favourite villains is Scythe Goddard from Scythe by Neal Shusterman. When I was thinking about favourite villains, it was really hard to choose some, and I feel like Scythe Goddard in Scythe and in Thunderhead is quite an underrated villain. Basically, Scythe is a utopian world where everything is perfect, but to keep the population under control, Scythes are the only ones allowed to kill. And it follows Rowan and Citra, who are Scythes in training to Scythe Faraday, and things go a little bit awry, where they learn the art of taking a life, but as well as other obstacles come in their place. And Scythe Goddard is one of our villains in the end of this one, but I definitely think he is underrated because the problem with him being a villain, and I think with a lot of the villains we're going to talk about today, is that he doesn't know that he's the villain. He doesn't know that he's the problem. He's like the extremist of the Scythedom. He believes in mass gleanings, and he's just really complex, but I feel like Scythe, we didn't get enough information about him. And although this story wasn't about him, it was more about Rowan and Citra and their kind of gleaning experience and learning to take a life, I feel like he was sitting in there in the background, conspiring behind the scenes, which I really, really enjoyed. And I think he's an underrated character as well as an underrated villain. But he's one that I think most people won't get in their top 5 villains, so I definitely want to throw in an underrated villain for you guys because he definitely has room to grow into a bigger villain. Now, number 4 on my list is, of course, Voldemort from Harry Potter, or He Who Must Not Be Named. Now, it wouldn't be a top 5 villains list without Voldy, so I'll shove him on here. He's a scary villain. He terrified me in my childhood, if I'm going to be completely honest. He is one that just left me with absolute nightmares. A lot of the characters that I'll be mentioning are more morally grey. Voldemort is not morally grey. He is evil. He is a villain. He is like the epitome of a villain. He's kind of one of these with like no remorse. Like, I have to kill kids? I'll kill kid. I have to drink unicorn blood? I'll drink unicorn blood. He has no limits. He will do whatever it takes, and I think that's what makes him a really scary villain and probably the biggest, most famous villain. He does not give two shits. He'll do whatever it takes. So Voldy is obviously always on this list. Now, you didn't think I was going to get through this list without mentioning a comic book character, did you? Number 3 on my list is Loki, the god of mischief from Norse mythology, as well as Loki from our amazing comic books. I freaking love Loki. He is morally grey, but he is also the best villain in the Marvel universe. I freaking love Loki. Not only is he mischievous and he tricks everybody, he's just such a complex character that I just need to know more. Norse mythology gives us a lot more detail on Loki, which I love, and I'm definitely going to be reading up on him more. I know Rhiannon from Crescent Moon Reads would be loving this shout out to her favourite right now. I definitely want to get more into the detail of Loki because I think he's one of my favourite because I love the complexity of him. I think everyone needs to look past the comic book character as well and go back into the Norse mythology. I read Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman and it gave me definitely an insight into Loki, but I need more. I think there's so much more to be explored, and I just adore Loki. As well as I adore Tom Hiddleston, who plays him as well, so you know. My number 2 on my villain list at the moment is the Darkling from Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I really enjoyed the Darkling as a character. Now, everyone's sitting there like shipping the Darkling. I don't ship the Darkling with anyone. The Darkling is literally a villain. He's the villain in this story. I loved getting to know his character and why he was the villain. He's honestly just one of these characters that thinks he's doing the right thing and he's not. And he doesn't try to be anything but the villain, which is what I love about him. It's really, really interesting. Like, I think in this one it says, "Fine, make me your villain." I adored that line. He didn't care that he was the villain. He thought what he was doing was right, and he was just going for it, and good for him. I thought he was a great character. I would have liked to see more of him. I kind of want a prequel to this book about the Darkling and more backstory on him, because we got a little bit, but I don't think I've had enough. Some of my favorite people love the Darkling, so I'm definitely intrigued about him, but I took him from what he was in this book, which was a villain. My number one favorite villain is a recent discovery for me, and that is Victor from Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I love Victor. This is a book full of morally grey characters, but there are two main characters in this one who are both the villain, depending on whose perspective you're looking from. I think Victoria writes her characters so morally grey, but what I love in this is that nobody is technically wrong. And it's kind of like bringing in the Shadow and Bone, make me your villain. The two main characters, Eli and Victor, have made each other villains. They are both each other's villain, and I really enjoy this. This follows two boys in high school who were experimenting with death to get supernatural powers, and they get supernatural powers, and it goes from there, and it's really, really good. Victor is one of my favorites because he's trying so hard to not be what he is, but also he does what needs to be done, which can be villainous. I absolutely adore Victor as a character. Eli didn't make this list because I don't adore him as a character. I think it's going to be amazing to see what happens in Vengeful, which I wish I had a copy of right now, but I don't because it's delayed, but I can't wait to see this, and I definitely think Victor will stay on my favourite villains list. That's it from me today, guys. Those are my top 5 favourite villains. I loved celebrating all things villains today and talking about my favourites and why I love them as villains. That's it from me today, guys. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more and have not already, and chat to me down in the comments. Let me know who your favourite villain is. I would love to hear. I make videos every Monday and Thursday, and I'll see you in a new one. Bye!